Hey, She Slayers, this is a special sample cut from this week's episode. If you find this interesting, be sure to make time to go listen to the entire episode released this past Sunday. And please be sure to help a girl out and follow or subscribe to this podcast. Because I feel like it might be easier for sure to start simple business, like if you have the right coaching and strategy. But like when you enter a business, let's say they've been running for 5, 10, 15 years, like the systems, we have a lot of these systems that's like, well, I don't know, that's the way we've always done it type of thing.
Yeah.
And like, how'd you come
Worst
up with that?
answer,
Yeah. Well, how'd you come up
right?
with that system? It was like a lot of times the systems were created under chaos. Right?
Oh,
Like where it was like,
1,000%.
well, we were understaffed and we had a lot of new patients coming in. And so this was,
Yes.
so then how do you start to go about, like, especially when you're working across all different sectors of businesses, like this isn't a plug and play situation that you do where
Mhm.
it's like, oh, well, I have a here, let me find my chiropractic playbook. Here you go. How do you start to lead people through simplifying their own systems?
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, it's more of an emotional like attachment or like fear of like what's going to happen. I acquired a business was it 2 years ago now, a year and 8 months ago. I was a founding partner. I was an investor in it. My partner wanted to exit, and so I acquired the company. And I mean, you better believe I ripped that thing to shreds. I mean, we went from 8 staff to 2. We went from 4 different price points and offers to 1. We went from layers upon layers upon layers of automations and systems, and we blew up the business. I mean, blew up literally like grew the business. Like, right? It's all the layers of complexity that create confusion and overwhelm and wasted time, wasted energy. So I think it's much more of an emotional attachment than it is like how. Like the how is like, okay, when you look at a business, it doesn't matter what kind of business you run. There's 5 core systems or departments: sales, marketing, operations, service delivery, and finance in every business. Then there's auxiliaries depending on the kind of business that you are, right? So if you are in manufacturing, you're going to have people that are in quality assurance. Or if you have a very large staffed company, you're going to have an HR division, right? So there's auxiliaries. But I think it's like, what are the 2 or 3 steps that have to happen, right, to get this one thing working the right way, and stripping away everything that's not that. It's just like essential, like it's narrowing it down to what's actually essential. I don't think it's like how can we do that? It's why should we do that? Because it's a simplifying process. It's not something that creates complexity or that you have to work harder to do. It's actually less work when you simplify. It's just letting go of that like attachment,
Hmm.
right?
Do you feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, there's like a level of boredom or like ADHD distraction that
Oh
is
yeah.
at like the root of why these systems get so complicated?
Well, there's a couple things, right? Let's break it down. So the first thing is the vast majority of people in the online space that are teaching business have never actually built a business.
Right.
So you have to understand we have a whole generation of entrepreneurs that are learning business. Like I built a $50 million portfolio from the ground, doing turnarounds of branches that were underperforming for like 10 years. Okay. Before I was like, oh yeah, let me go teach someone business. Right. So what's happening is like a lot of the people that are teaching business, like they figured out how to like market a product, but knowing how to market a product is not the same as building a company. It's not the same as building a winning team. It's not the same as understanding how to read a P&L or to manage systems or to design metrics or to put KPIs in place, right? So a lot of what's going on in the entrepreneurial space right now, I think, is just a byproduct of people learning from people that they don't even know themselves. And so, of course, it's like bastardizing the information that is making it to the ears of entrepreneurs that are learning. I think that's one component. I think the other component is that, yes, to answer your question, there's like this entrepreneurial ADD, and I deal with this in my own coaching and consulting company with our clients all the time. They'll come in, they'll put all the things in place that we're teaching them. They'll grow their business by 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, sometimes even 7 figures. We'll get everything working, and they're like, okay, cool. We're gonna go start this other thing now. We want to do this other thing. We're gonna do this because this is where, and we're like, no, we just worked for 6 months to get all these things working and they're working. Now we're going to do the things that we got working. So there's this like tendency as soon as you get something working to go focus on something else instead of now that you got it working, do the work.
Is that the jump from
Right?
7 to 8?
Exactly. And yeah, for us, it was the ability to stay disciplined. It was the
Mm.
ability to not get bored and go do something else. And that's where skill actually comes from. There has to be mastery at such a deep level and repetition at such a high volume that you can achieve that. So I think that's a big part. And then, like, it's just noisy, and I think people easily buy into like the FOMO of like, oh, I need to be doing this trend and I need to be participating in this thing. And, oh, I tried this thing and it's not working. So I should change my strategy and do this thing over here. And, there's like just that human element that we have to control, that monkey brain, and we have to just center ourselves and say like, okay, like what's it really going to take to achieve the outcome of this thing that I'm trying to do and follow through until completion. And, that's what really stands in the way of people being able to scale successfully. It's not like a special gift or a special talent or any of those things. It's that discipline to stay focused and not get bored and impatient, right?
Mhm.